I'm ready to be introduced. I'm ready to get a glimpse of what ParanOid can offer here against a more modern active player. As here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have the red Protoss player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Rodzyn. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Polish player. It is ParanOid. Again, it's been a very long time since he has been an active player. Great to see him return for this event. Great to see him still willing to be a part of the community. That's the thing that I appreciate the most. Players like ParanOid, Nurchio, Dana, and Pal. They've been gone for a very long time, but you're never really gone. As they all, we bring them back in. It's great to see them here once again. Ooh, as, who is it? No, as... it looks like we had some latency issues earlier. Legend K, of course, is our French caster and did leave in the middle of the FFA earlier. Potentially 2 latency issues, and yeah, it looks like we may have some latency issues here as well, as we may end up losing it. But hopefully those issues are resolved, and hopefully Legend K can join us in the future, can join us in the next game or even our next series. I do hope so. As we will be waiting for this timeout to occur. And again, my eyes are really on ParanOid to see kind of what build he brings to the table. There are some things that never change. I mean, I say that. No, yeah, okay. I was going to say that ParanOid, he did retire back in 2016. Did retire at the start of Legacy of the Void, which means he was able to be a part of the new economy change. For those that are maybe newer viewers and newer fans of StarCraft, the economy was quite different back in Heart of the Swarm. Basically, what I mean by that is your starting workers. The amount of workers that you started the game with was much lower, so builds were quite different. That's why 6 pools was a thing. No longer is possible to really 6 pool. So I bring this up just because it is important that ParanOid was a part of Legacy of the Void as a competitive player, because of that, builds haven't changed too much over time. Things like 12 pools, things like 13 12s have been around for many, many years, even back when ParanOid was active. So cheesing is going to be in his wheelhouse. This is a little bit different, though. He goes for a hatch pool gas opener. So is he saying, oh, do you know how to make an extractor? Is that what is? I want to know what this banter is.
He said he should have made the extractor first.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well. I was about to pull that out.
And ParanOid is like, oh, I was supposed to ask.
So this is why I said, like, it's really interesting to see a hatch pool gas opener, which is not a standard build. It's typically hatch gas pool. So yeah, even the players are talking amongst it themselves. So not the most efficient of builds. It's a little bit off center, in general, a little bit off balance, I should say, a little bit slightly different, but regardless, overall, you know, hopefully we're able to stabilize from here. And this tells us something immediately. This tells us something that ParanOid isn't entirely active in the current meta, which is a little bit concerning. But again, we'll see what he can bring to the table. We shall see. I think for some context as well, I believe Rodzyn was helping him with the vetoes, and I believe he even picked the maps for ParanOid when it came to the veto. Well, there wasn't even a veto process, it was just a pick process, essentially. As the third base is being taken at a pretty reasonable time, to be honest. We killed the probe, let's go. So far, so good here as ParanOid is going to be focusing on droning, of course, on producing his queens. Back at home, Rodzyn going for a Stargate opener. Again, Rodzyn going to be coming in as a favorite player. He did look quite powerful in the FFA himself. He was really the only one that could stand up to Mishu, given the game state that we did have. And with the Stargate open, we should be headed towards Oracle production. Overlord dives in. We do get a scout. We do get confirmation. ParanOid is now aware of the Oracles. And we're getting to a very fast Evo chamber. Okay, I want to believe this is intentional. With an Evo chamber this quick, but we did pull out a gas, so I'm curious if this isn't really going to line up. Actually, we're not going to have enough gas for +1 melee. I assume this is for +1 melee and a link flood. Unfortunately, we're still a little bit shy when it comes to the gas to actually afford +1 melee. And likewise, typically, if you do go for +1 melee, we want to be getting into melee first and then into link speed, and it all lines up. Regardless, we'll see if melee is actually chosen as our upgrade of choice. now. Just going to be droning on up. Queens are amassing as well. We have 2 queens in the natural. We're missing a queen here in the main base. Lack of queens could be the death of us. There is +1 melee, as we did mention, so it is going to be a Link Flood out of ParanOid. But we do need queens to maintain our economy to be able to afford everything, as the oracles have arrived. Going to be dipping into the natural, but the queens were thankfully in position. Quick Spore Crawler there out of ParanOid, keeping that drone alive. Quick moves. Only 1 drone does go down. The ghost! Let's go. Did save his drone. The micro, but he still got it. He still got it, Pappy. Let's go. As Ling's going to be flooding across the map. Double Oracle going to be moving out. We have a triple third Oracle behind this. This is why opening up Oracle like this is so powerful, because sure, we have a lot of Lings. We can threaten the base, but we cannot deny the base because there's just so many Oracles here to defend. The Pulsar Beam is activated. The Lings are being forced back behind this. We're transitioning into +1 and Blink, or into a Twilight Council and a Forge. Whether it's Blink or whether it's Charge, it is all on the table. It is all on the horizon here. This +1 melee is still halfway done. Still halfway done, as we do have the Stalkers dipping on forward, catching an Overlord. Up. Overlord is going to be falling. Decent pickoff. Lings are still amassing. ParanOid still focusing on droning back at home. He's going to be saturating his 3 bases. He's taking gases. Upon taking these gas geysers, that tells us that he doesn't really intend on going for an all-in. Yeah, we have a lair on the way. We have a 4th base. Additional gases being taken. This wouldn't be bad for a Ling Hydra. I wouldn't be opposed to throwing down a Hydra Den at this point, but we'll see as the Alien Nest gets thrown down, and we have still yet to determine our tech of choice once we get the lair. Meanwhile, triple Oracle dipping in between the bases. Again, the lack of queens is concerning, as we go for the 4th base instead, and we have enough DPS, we should be canceling this 4th. 4th base is going to be denied. Link still active across the map. And again, it's going to be close. We're going to run out of energy on one of those Oracles, but yeah, we do force that cancel. We get the kill. The drone does go down. Big pick off there by Rodzyn. ParanOid forced to expand elsewhere instead. Things they do check the base. They do confirm the Stalkers as well. Upon seeing all these Stalkers, we should be aware of the Blink Stalker follow-up from Rodzyn, as +1 and Blink are about to finish up, and Rodzyn is soon about to hit the field with Mass Blink Stalker. Meanwhile, ParanOid is going to be going into failing speed. Ling main, the lair is done. Roach Warren now on the way for ParanOid. It's going to be Ling main, Roach Ravager. Pretty standard army composition, but can he keep up with Rodzyn? Because Rodzyn's already here. He's already knocking down the front door of ParanOid. No time to make roaches. Lings are in production. We're already pushing in. Ling's going to be going down, and this first push from Rodzyn is looking terrifying already here. ParanOid not ready for it whatsoever. Drones under fire. Queens as well. 5 workers go down. Ooh, and this first push may just be too much. So the Lings are coming out, though. We're coming in first round, but we have Oracles to support. Yeah, this first push, it's going to get too much done. The Lings, they just melt here before the army. We just were not ready for this. This base is going to fall, and ParanOid has to back up, has to mass up an army. He's going to try to engage with Lings, but there's no touching these Stalkers. Like, these Oracles are here to support. They're never going to allow the Lings to get out of control, and everything is going to get picked off. It wasn't a bad start from ParanOid, but unfortunately, he just isn't aware of the timings, wasn't aware when and where the army would be pushing, and he wasn't ready for this. GG gets called, oops, as Rodzyn takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. A very standard but very crisp build out of Rodzyn. Again, a bit of a skill check here, you know, going triple Oracle into +1 Blink Stalkers. There was nothing fancy about that. That was very standard play out of Rodzyn. And again, ParanOid was caught droning, was caught taking bases, was caught without a Roach Warren and only a handful of Lings. Again, he just wasn't ready for the push. And I'm sure just not used to these kind of timings and that kind of aggression and that kind of play. That's kind of what comes with experience of partaking in the current meta. As we are getting into game number 2, going to be on Site Delta. Here we go. So the ZvP is going to be continuing here. Site Delta, going to be an interesting one, is a lot more wide open in the center of the map. Now, again, I did mention earlier about the openers, about how some openers haven't changed over the years, and the potential that ParanOid would have when it comes to some of these openers. Do we open up aggressively? What I will say is that something like a 12 pool, something like a 13-12, would be weaker on Site Delta. Specifically because, and I'm sure ParanOid doesn't know this is one of the few maps that has a ramp leading into the natural. Aggression and early game all-ins are that much weaker as a result here, because we do have a greater defender's advantage from Rodzyn, from his side. So, on the one hand, I kind of want to see some cheese. On the other hand, what kind of cheese? And can we bring it all together here? Can we make it work? We'll see. We shall see as we are loading on into game number 2 to Site Delta. I want to believe that ParanOid can show us a little bit more here. Again, he's a legend in his own right. Did compete many years ago, and again, I remember staying up deep into the night to watch the Acer Team Story Cup and watching and cheering for Team Acer back in the day, cheering for Bly, Scarlet, ParanOid. Not just them, of course, but back then, of course, MMA and Innovation had relatively recently joined Acer as well. As they were all competing in that online team league. Not just the Acer Team League, but also other online events back when team leagues were a little bit more prevalent. Good times. Good times, Bobby. Good times. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our blue Polish Zerga player, the returning legend himself. It is ParanOid. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Polish Protoss player representing the Platinum Heroes. Leading the series 1-0, it is Rodzyn. Is he talking about the...
He said, do the mana...
something trick.
Sorry. So do the mana trick of lacking hold on the Zealot.
Let's go. Oh god, as we are getting into this. True, that's crazy. In the time that ParanOid was active and retired, Mana has also been active that entire time. That's crazy. True. Wait, is Mana the only one? I think so, yeah. From back in ParanOid's day, from back when ParanOid was active, I do think that Mana was the only one, because Geralt, Cristiano, they're all newer, younger players. Rodzyn as well. Maybe Ziomek. I think Ziomek was maybe active back then. Do you remember, Kura?
I do not remember.
I know that Soul wasn't. Soul was still like in the womb back, back when ParanOid was still active. I'm checking Ziomek. Ziomek. No, he's a new player. Yeah, he's 2019. Sorry, 2017. Oh my god. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy to think about how, looking at all the players that are currently active in Poland, like, I think Mana, as well as the other legends that are here, are the only ones that were around back when ParanOid was active. Yeah, crazy. As we're settling into this, we are settling into this. And before I get ahead of myself, a big shout out to Danskik in the chat. Gracias, papi, gracias. Dzień dobry. Thank you so much for gifting some subs in the chat. Not just resubscribing for 5 months, but gifting a couple of subs as well to the community. Thank you so much. I don't know if Danskik is still there. I imagine he's enjoying himself at the LAN event himself. But thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for all the love. Gracias, papi, gracias. Dzięki. As here we go, we have the Overlord dipping into the main base, getting a scout on the tech. Once again, it's going to be a Stargate opener out of Rodzyn. We have a Stargate opener from our Protoss player. Meanwhile, ParanOid still easing into this, getting into his hatch. Now gas pool opener as well, pulling out of gas, so he's relatively aware of some things that should be expected here at this game state, getting into link speed and droning. But again, as we saw in the previous game, like, it isn't just about our openers, it's about the follow-up as well. It's about being aware of when and where you need an army, as we are spicing it up. Rodzyn going for an Oracle opener into a Phoenix. Oh boy. Phoenix here on the way for Rodzyn. With this, he can deny any kind of Overlord scout. He can deny any vision from ParanOid. Speaking of, this Overlord is going to be going down. Once again, ParanOid going for a really fast Evo chamber. Once again, it looks like he wants to race his way into +1 melee. It isn't quite... actually, much better lined up this time. Let's go! Plus a melee on the way. And we're rushing into Sky Toss. Rodzyn, he's not holding back. He's not holding back, Papi. It's going to be Sky Toss on the horizon. We're rushing into carriers, and ParanOid has no idea. But ParanOid is making a lot of lings. A little bit too premature. Plus a melee still a ways off, but could we potentially punish Rodzyn before he can get into Sky Toss? That's the question. Can we punish him? Can we somehow break him? Oh boy. As Ling's going to be checking and making sure the third base isn't snuck out. Containing his opponent to 2 bases. Meanwhile, it is not a carrier rush. We're going to be safer going for a Tempest rush. Tectonic destabilizers on the horizon here for Rodzyn. Rushing into Tempest, and this is going to be a little bit brutal. This is a build. This is a build here in PvZ. Classic has done it. Hero has done it. Estrella has done it. Plenty of Protoss players have whipped this out in recent times. And this can be devastating. This can get out of control. Meanwhile, ParanOid, he's massing lings. It looks like he's pretty all in with this. ParanOid is cutting workers at 41. Lair now on the way. Interesting. And with the mass amount of lings, can we threaten the natural? If we had some banelings alongside this, then maybe. As again, ParanOid, he's hoping to deny the third, but there is no third. These lings aren't really achieving too much. Honestly, all these lings could have been drones, and the game state would be the same, if not, I mean, it would just be better for ParanOid. Like, there's no third. There was never going to be a third base. These lings, unfortunately, unable to achieve too much. And as we're hyper fixated on link production, I'm concerned. How many queens do we have? 4. 4 queens. 1 creeping queen for each base and 1 additional queen to spread creep. That is not going to be enough. We're getting up to 4 Tempests, and these Tempests on their own, 4 Tempests could end the game. They could end the game. I'm concerned. We have a couple of queens in production. We still have not scattered the main. Additional links are massing here on the ground. Again, if we had a Bailey nest, then maybe we could bust in. Maybe. Possible. Here we go. Third base on the way. Rodzyn going to be exposing himself. Is spotted by ParanOid. Lane does get eyes on this. Third base now on the way. We're making 20 more lanes behind this. So ParanOid, I do believe that he can break the third base. He can break the base. But he still doesn't know about the Sky Toss until now. He sees the Tempest waddling across the map. Queens are amassing. Queens are on the way, but this may just be too late. It takes quite some time to make a queen. And the Tempest, they're coming. And how many queens do we have as Lings? They do collapse on the third base. They collapse on the base, hoping that the Tempest turn back around. But we're not turning around. We're focusing on the push. We have 5 Tempests. We lift up a queen. 6 queens to defend. Now 5 queens to defend. And again, good kiting here from Rodzyn. Third base is going to be cancelled. But we can kill this hatchery. We can kill the queens. We have options. Good target firing here on the Tempest. Tempest getting quite low here, but we come back in. We're going to be picking off the queens, and up. Tempest getting low. Tempests are getting low, but we get another queen. We had 5 queens, now we're down to 0. 0 queens left. Base going to be knocked down. At the same time, Lings, they try to bust into the natural. The natural is safe and sound. We have denied the third, but only the third. As it's going to be a kill on the third base of ParanOid, and we can keep on pushing from here. How many queens do we have left? We have 1 queen. 1 queen remaining. Hydras are on the way, and the Tempests are not stopping. They're not slowing down. They pick off the rallying reinforcements here. We pick off some of these Hydras. As we camp the production, Lings is still amassing across the map. We're getting into Void Rays back at home. And these Tempests, they will have their way with this. They shut down every single Hydra. The Overlords are being camped. We're soon to supply block ParanOid. We can try to bust it with an overcharge. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen here. The Lings, they're trying to break in. We have a secondary wall behind this. Oh, that's the Cybercore. Up. It's getting low. The gateway. We're focusing on whatever we can. The force fields are thrown down. The wall is looking solid for Rodzyn. And the Tempest is still going ham across the map, still picking off whatever they can. As the Lings, they're slowly breaking in. We made it. We kind of made it through here, but we have a third wall behind this. barely do break in. The second Tempest has arrived. Cans are finishing up. GG gets called. A bit of a sad face here, and Rodzyn will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there out of Rodzyn. Having, again, a solid game in game 1. In game 2, more of a fun one. Just having a bit of fun here against ParanOid. And it was a cleaner opener out of ParanOid. Unfortunately, he never got a scout. He wasn't able to piece together what was happening until it was too late. And Rodzyn got out of control with the Sky Toss, with the Tempest Rush. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Rodzyn. My condolences to ParanOid and best of luck. It is a GSL group, so ParanOid will have another chance to make it out later on down the line. Rodzyn kicks things off with a win, and he's going to be advancing on to face off against the winner of another series. The winner of, let me just double check, the winner of Aristory and Geralt, which is going to be a pretty good series. Pretty damn good series. Meanwhile, we have our next series lined up. Again, traditionally, we would hope to try to focus on groups one at a time and finish up groups as well. That's how we usually cast things here on the CranKy Ducklings. But because all these matches are happening at the same time, and because we want to feature as many of these matches as we can, we're going to be hopping around a little bit. Going to be hopping around. Up next, we have our next series. It is going to be Snockstar versus Mishu in the TVZ. There we go. We're going to be hopping over to Group A from Group B. So best of luck to Rodzyn, best of luck to ParanOid in their future matches. We are going to be jumping around a little bit here.